Go live.
I
Here we
already
go.
adjusted them. We're fine.
Alrighty, hey everybody, and welcome to the holiday special House of Holocrons. It's a full packed party this evening. We'll be joined by my better half when they get their super Christmas sweater on as well. Um, Tis the season to be Sithmas, you know? There we go. Yeah. So, wanted to wish everyone happy holidays. We know this comes out, of course, a little bit before the extravaganza of holidays begins in the later part of the December month. But the next 2 weeks, we aren't going to be filming a live podcast. As I will be moving, Christmas and Yule.
We
will be moving, yes. Christmas, Yule, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Hanukkah, Christmaka, all of that fun stuff is going to be going on. So we're going to be taking, and New Year's, so we're going to be taking breaks. The next time the podcast will be live is January 6th, my birthday. So as a present to me, I get to talk at y'all. So we will be, I'll announce that again later on, and I'll put it in the post as well on the YouTube channel. That way it's not forgotten. But so that'll be the main thing. But tonight is going to have a lot to talk about because, of course, like always, there has been some more news just recently from the Twitterverse. I wouldn't call it news as much as speculation and reported things that people have found from their trusty sources. We have the worst thing possible, and I just want to get it out of the way first, is the that apparently Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, is in Ahsoka.
Why is that the worst?
That's okay. It's that second part, though, where we're going to see a lot of Ahsoka throughout the ages because they're going to be looking through the world between worlds. It's that last thing that makes me violently ill. I don't need time travel messing up timelines because then you get to the point where people can start retconning things.
But it also sounds like it's usually something a franchise does when they run out of ideas.
Yeah.
They've already said that there's going to be a new
cheap cop out.
Or galaxy or something.
Okay, a new galaxy. If they literally are going to travel and like explain the science of going through like dead space and stuff, I'm down. But if they just hop, it's hard to, I don't know, because they do it anyway because hyperspace is a different realm of existence and that's how like they travel. But I just feel like the world between worlds was kind of not in the way cheap, but it cheapens a lot of things. Because then why not just go back and stop Anakin from being bad and kill Sidious?
Too much.
Too much? What would it change? The Jedi just get to stay around.
It was probably something that was supposed to happen.
Go back.
And then you also they have to have their own laws of time travel, which what works and doesn't work, what happens.
How could they be out of ideas though? It's fucking Star Wars. Get to the Old Republic before you do time travel.
The only thing that opening up a new universe would make a fun storyline is the typical storyline where you open up a universe and a bad enemy comes through. That's the only fun thing that I would enjoy. Yeah. So they've been doing for a very long time with their comics.
I mean, what? We're going to have like all of a sudden, the portal's going to open. It's going to be like some crazy triumvirate returns. It's going to be like Darth Malgus, Darth Nihilus, and Darth Revan come out. And they're just like, we're here to conquer.
It's going to be
and then Rey
Star-Lord and Guardians of the Galaxy as they cross over.
It's a crossover.
I mean, they already showed Mustafar in what? One of the...
I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy, like 1 or something. They showed Mustafar in like one of the multiple jump scenes. Oh, no. No. Because then we finally get to answer some questions, though. Who, Force users, which X-Men could they beat up, and what X-Men could beat up a Force user? Because everyone's always like, big Star Wars nerds versus big Marvel nerds. That's always been like, Iron Man could totally take down a Jedi. No, he could. Oh, a Jedi maybe, but a Sith would crush him like a tin can.
Yeah, you start going into weird laws and things that work differently in different universes. So it's a hard thing to argue.
Yeah.
The only mashup I've always enjoyed is because the only one closest to Vader is Magneto. And I've always wanted to see a Magneto and Vader. Even though it's a little cheap because
it has to be like I would
argue it's you could argue that the Force could also kind of stop the magnetism, so it's
true.
That's literally where my first thought went.
Yeah, that's true. Interesting point.
Vader wouldn't need to do anything; he would just need to think it, and then Magneto would just like be on his ass.
Yeah,
But
you
it's
get,
the same thing with Magneto. That's the problem. Is
yeah.
they're so similar in design. It's just Magneto's probably more OP in the comics than Darth Vader is. He gets really broken, but I'm not gonna. This isn't a Marvel podcast. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna go into that.
Yeah, that'd be a whole nother conversation for a whole other day.
Especially a
Yeah.
Magneto by himself, yeah. But yeah, so we had that. Not too much more news coming about from the Acolyte, which makes me sad because that's the one I'm most excited for. Um,
Yeah, but
it's
we
mostly
should
all
get
going to
some
be
pretty
the
good trailers soon.
yeah. I
I'm
would hope
assuming they're
so.
probably
Something.
waiting for probably right when Bad Batch
Yeah.
start promoting the other stuff.
Do you think we'll get a Bad Batch trailer come like Christmas time?
That'd be nice.
If we're gonna get another one, it's got to be soon because it's about to come out.
Yeah. Or I don't know, because okay, so now I'm starting to hear that apparently Ahsoka is also going to be in Skeleton Crew. Apparently, this is supposed to somehow tie in with a lot of things as well. I heard that was like a TikTok rumor mill thing I had heard that the Skeleton Crew, because no one knows anything about that except for Jude Law and children lost in space.
Yeah, I doubt she'll be in it. To be honest,
Yeah, a
since
lot of
she's getting
well,
her own show.
it was some like
And she's
big
in.
speculative thing that came out where apparently Ahsoka's going to tie into it, which now leads a lot of people to think that all these kids are like force sensitive.
But there's also a lot of rumors that have been going around that aren't true.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is because there was a couple of sources that were dropping about Ahsoka and some other shows that were coming out, and after digging through some sources, it all led to one uncredible source.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why I never even shared that information with you because
Yeah.
it
It's always
was
fun.
really far fetched and
Far fetched.
Yeah. And honestly, you can always run the rumors through the three sieves. If they run through the three sieves, talk about it. If they don't talk about it. And honestly, that's the best way to handle most problems.
Well, and that's my thing too. Is like I will only talk about the spoilers and like leaks that are so prominent that I'm going to see them no matter what. Just because I am now such tied into social media.
Oh yeah.
Like I can't miss it. I literally check every morning to see what's going on because like if I can be on top of it, then that's how this grows. Like that's the whole point.
Mhm.
So, but if I don't try to like dig too hard because I don't want it to be ever be spoiled. I don't want to ever stumble around like on a script on accident and then have like the last episode of the Ahsoka series ruined. Oh no, thank you.
Yeah.
No,
Which, if
no.
that ever gets out, then they have bigger issues going on.
They have way much bigger issues, but thankfully that's not.
and there's been fake scripts that have been passed out before. There was one for The Force Awakens and some of the other Star Wars movies
Yeah.
that were scripts, and it was just like a fan fiction that
Right.
they lied as a script.
I can definitely say I am excited to see Hayden Christensen, and I guess if it's a young Ahsoka, who would they get to play young Ahsoka with Rosario Dawson being older Ahsoka?
They've already said it's going to be somebody younger
think
or somebody
Zendaya?
different.
I mean, I could see it.
I could too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options,
Yes
so
and
it's
no.
really with the makeup. I mean, they can get away with a lot.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like it needs to be somebody completely different. If they're going to be doing
Okay.
Clone Wars era, they need to do someone younger.
I mean, she does look pretty young, but even younger. Okay. Well, I guess she's what, like, yeah, almost like
16?
15, 16 in
Yeah.
the beginning of Clone Wars.
Yeah,
She's
she
super
definitely
young.
does need to look younger.
I think she was.
Well, Hayden also needs to look younger. He's gained.
Which,
he's
no
old.
offense, and I was happy. They didn't need to do it because it was just for the nostalgia sake in Obi-Wan. They did nothing to de-age him in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Bro had some laugh lines, but it was fine. I'm not angry about it. It was just like, I'm just happy to see Hayden Christensen with his
It's the
little...
dark side doing that. That's
Yeah, exactly. It was getting
Yeah.
him already. I would also say seeing a young Hayden and her training again, that'll be nice. If it isn't flashbacks, maybe he's in a force ghost.
That was what I first said.
Force ghost. Because he does talk to Luke a good bit in Shadow of the Sith and how he was a lot stronger in the beginning of that book. So he is around as a force ghost.
They've already retconned the Force Ghost as well in Return of the Jedi, so because they used Hayden
Yeah.
in the new one.
Because
so
that was the way they said it is that
awesome.
was the last time he was Anakin was
Yeah.
at that moment. I would also think young Hayden, maybe or we'll just get some really fun hashbacks. flashbacks in which we see Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme. We get to see like imagine we got to they just gave us the scene finally where we got to see all the Clone Wars characters live action. Maybe we get like live action Rex.
Oh,
If they do flashbacks,
Live
with
action
Ahsoka,
Rex.
they're gonna have to have.
We got
clones.
we're
I
gonna
mean-
have to have a live action Rex.
We get live action Ahsoka, so it's pretty much opened up a lot
Right.
already. So
yeah.
And of course, Tamora Morrison will happily play live action Rex. Like I'm surprised they're not making a live action Rex show with like him like on the scenes of Endor doing like the last days of his life kind of stuff. And it's just Tamora Morrison just running around being old and badass.
I mean, they can already do it. He's at the age where
He's
it
at
would
the
make
perfect
sense, you know?
age for old Rex. And then like that way it's not gonna like interfere too much with the Boba Fett show. He doesn't have
He's
to
a
do any
clone.
makeup in, but yeah, it's a clone. It's the same thing. That would be
It's like the
really
the
funny.
retired clone and what was that? Was that
Yeah, so
Is
that
Boba Fett would be-
Andor?
Yeah.
Obi-Wan? Yeah.
Obi-Wan had the
It'd be the
panhandling
same.
clone, yeah, which was 501st.
Pretty cool to see, admittedly.
Oh, that scene there was a deleted scene you said?
Yeah, I thought.
Oh, I
thought
didn't
it
know.
was-
Well, it was in there, no, but there were apparently she's saying there might have been more. I don't know of any more, but
Oh,
if there
okay.
was, they better put it in. I'd be upset if they
No, I
didn't.
think I saw
Yeah.
something. There was a deleted scene with the clone, or like a maybe not deleted, but like a
Now,
out scene or something.
okay,
like that.
now the big thing was the original guy who wrote the original script when it was supposed to be a movie, Cody was in it.
Yeah.
Cody was actually going to have removed his chip and been a big part of Obi-Wan's life on Tatooine, and they would have been helping each other. We would have seen stuff about Satine. We would have seen, Cody's, I think, sacrifice. The Obi-Wan movie, before it got turned into a show, the way that guy talks about it, I wish he could make it still.
Mhm.
Well,
It sounds
with the-
so good.
With Cody and Bad Batch, it would be a good follow-up.
Now
'Cause
that's something I'm really excited for, is to see, is this going to be
that
the
way
end of it?
they can explain it to the people who don't know about them. That way they could add them into, because they can open it up
Yeah.
for a little bit more with him.
So, question then about Cody and Bad Batch. Do you think he's going to die?
I mean,
I think it's
eventually he will die.
Rescue or die. I don't think he's going to live in the Empire a long time. I think this is going to be the death of him.
Well, no, either. Yeah, I don't remember the previous canon for his death, and I'm sure it's retconned by now. But I don't see them keeping around too much because Rex is kind of the face of the typical clone,
Yeah.
and Cody's just kind of been there. He doesn't really interact too much, so I don't see them keeping him around too much because they don't want to get people confused.
Yeah, and honestly, when you're using the same actor over and over and over and
Yeah.
over,
And
I mean,
it's-
literally clones.
Right.
And it's different when you have like Gregor or something like or the other ones where
Oh,
they're
yeah.
like way different. So you could see the difference in those guys. So
I know. I'm pretty excited. They also just announced Scorch for the 6-inch Black Series collection for the figures. So that'll be the last
Yeah.
one of the.
kind of been
Commander Scorch.
disappointed in the paint jobs, but it is
Paint
nice
jobs,
to finally
yep,
have them.
the paint jobs haven't been that great, but I'm gonna have all 4 of them, and that makes me happy. Recently,
Do you think
Mhm.
with the new game coming
Mhm.
out, do you think they'll ever add Cal to a show? Since
better.
they
Yes.
have the actor that he looks exactly like him.
I mean, it would make sense, but at the same time, I could see them not doing it because they're keeping everything in the High Republic pretty strictly in book and comic, except for Acolyte, and that's at the very end. Like, if we started to see a show that was like in the middle of the
Yeah.
High Republic, or we see Old Republic, then I would be very surprised. But it seems like they're actually really trying to keep stuff separate, almost like, no, you have to play the games to get your Cal Kestis. But I think it's a double-edged sword because if they put him in a show, it would still just drive more
Yeah.
people to the game.
It's really hard to enjoy him in the game just because my first favorite thing that he's done was when he played the Joker-esque character in Gotham. Was so good.
Yeah.
Um,
That was a crazy
Uh,
Joker too, because it was like a young Joker, but it went immediately to the stapled face one.
well, he combined a
nuts.
lot of Jokers.
Yeah, and he's a great actor, and he plays a great Jedi.
Yeah.
Now he would have been a better Sith, of course. I mean, if you played a great Joker, you'd make a way better Sith.
Oh yeah.
But I really love Cameron's acting, and I hope we get to see him in live action. That'd be amazing. I mean, I want to see Cameron, Ezra, and so if we have Cal Kestis, Ezra Bridger, and we need like Sam Witwer's Star Killer to just all three of them be in one scene and just blow cannon out of the wall. And just like, oh gosh.
Well,
Even if it's just in the background, a blurry vision background.
Right.
I'd
Well,
be happy.
Cal would be really easy to implement.
Very,
That's
very.
the thing with Cal, especially since he's basically looks just like his character.
Now, the main reason he might not be in it is because we don't know how Survivor ends. It could be a very, very badly named title for a reason. But
I think it's Survivor for the guy who's in the tank.
maybe. Which I am super stoked for that one. I'm gonna be recording this evening actually here soon to keep doing the playthroughs. I'm excited to get to that. Number 2 is gonna be fun, but this will at least tell us probably what he's doing, because this is him very busy into the later part of BBY. So the rebellion's kind of starting to pick up by now. So I would hope in the game we're gonna hear about it, and maybe that'll lead to some way he's gonna tie in, because the game comes out March. I believe, yes, March 17th. So
If all things go well, yes.
yeah. So it'll be out right after Bad Batch, but before anything else, I think. Yeah, because Bad Batch is in February.
I'd be excited to see him in Bad Batch, and then like whatever he's doing ties into Survivor.
Yeah. And that's why, or Skeleton Crew.
Or any of it.
Yeah.
Or whatever he's doing in Jedi Survivor ties into Ahsoka or something. I don't know. I just want to see his character in more stuff.
It's a really good character. I really enjoy the way they end it. So spoilers for the end of Jedi Fallen Order. Is anyone here wanting to play it and hasn't? No?
Honestly, I still haven't played it. I still haven't finished it. I
played it.
I'm one of those people who sat down.
I
and
didn't
watched
finish it
videos.
because I don't remember why. I need to replay it.
All right,
Just
well,
haven't. But you can-
sorry to kill the ending.
It's been out
but
for years.
yeah,
so,
more or less what happens is Cal Kestis finds a holocron that contains the location of a lot of Jedi-sensitive children. So, of course, the Inquisitors want it because that'll claim all those kids and either ice them or turn them into Inquisitors. And Cal was going to use it to restore the Jedi Order. He then realizes, no, the Force has something else going on, and it is up to the children and the Force to make that decision. So he destroys the holocron so no one can track down these Force-sensitive children.
Yeah.
And now he's just going to do his
way better.
He's just going to do his own thing and try to help the galaxy as best he can. If he finds somebody, he finds somebody. Hopefully, he's a little busy with Marin repopulating the Night Sisters.
Honestly,
I didn't see Marin in the trailer.
Yeah, you don't see
The
Marin. She's busy having
Jedi
kids.
Order making a holocrons and all the Force-sensitive children was a dumb idea.
Real stupid.
I mean, it's a smart thing whenever you have a spread out
ego?
order. Yeah, but you have the spread out order. You need to pass the information somehow to people like that.
The
makes
problem,
sense.
though, is then, like, it goes back into it. Like, yeah, here's this map of kids who are Force sensitive. There's another map that shows 1,000 more of them, but they're not as Force sensitive, but we don't care about them as much. Just go get the good ones. Like, this is the problem with the Jedi at this point in time, is they're literally like varsity football teams cherry picking the Jedi Order.
I mean, they have the luxury too.
Yeah.
And luxury is not something a Jedi should have, and that's why they fell.
So tying back to the
Hey, Yoda.
about how how Cal is like the Force has a plan. I think that's why the World Between Worlds works still.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Force has a plan for things, and you can't mess with something too, like, what's the word?
Important or crucial. But
yeah.
I get that, because it'd be kind of nice, if you try to go save Anakin, but literally every step you take gets harder and heavier because you can't get that close because it's a Nexus, and the Force is like, no, this has to happen.
That was the word.
Nexus, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something like that, yeah, where the Force doesn't allow you to do anything
Where
except
you can't even go through the door.
No, I need you to come back in time to this point to do this thing, to move this along so things continue.
I mean, hell, the thing with Ezra saving Ahsoka.
And maybe
he was drawn to it.
Yeah, he was literally drawn to it. Now, again, with the Force and the Wills, that would be awesome to get more. Again, I have a video coming, just dropped about aliens, where I kind of talk about this, because the Force and the Wills, we don't know if it's an actual entity or just a literal force, a essence of energy and creation that just exists and permeates like a nova or a nebula. But it would be awesome to get more into that kind of the mysticism of Star Wars, and does the Force have an actual hand in everything? So,
You're talking about if it's basically sentient in a way.
in a way, was Darth Kreia correct? And if you removed the Force out of the situation, all the bad stuff stops because there's nothing constantly trying to balance the galaxy.
All I can picture whenever you were trying to explain that right there was the Smash Brothers magic hand. That's all I can picture.
That's the Force. Yeah,
You
out
get
of
a
line.
lot of information in the Rebels show, and there's a lot of retcon stuff.
Yeah.
It's really vague, and I think it's better to be vague. I like having different characters have their own theories,
Right.
different cultures should. Another thing that we know for certain is it's just the collective life energy kind of connected together. That also works as little microbes in your bloodstream, apparently. So there's also that.
Yeah, unless you're Darth Nihilus, and then you eat too much of it, and you have to eat more of it, and then things just aren't good for you because you consume entire planets.
Well, so also
What
like
kind of toilet paper Nihilus uses?
He doesn't, because I don't think there's any.
Sorry.
He has no energy waste. He's completely eco-friendly.
That's true. That's true. He's carbon neutral.
Yeah, completely neutral.
Yeah.
Palpatine had
Sorry.
access to it for a little bit, didn't he?
Palpatine had access to a what?
The world between worlds.
The World Between Worlds? He almost did.
Okay.
In Rebels, you see him through Sith magic. He was trying to gain access to the World
Okay.
Between World, but in a sense, I think it was also the point he knew it was that day at that time he had to be doing this because Ezra was already in there, and as you see, he was trying to get Ezra and pull him through because then he knew that he could use him to get to the spot to get through it easier. Because it was, I think where he was, his Sith magic only allowed him to like look into it and kind of mess with it, while Ezra was like physically in there.
Yeah.
And he saves Ahsoka from being crushed to death by a giant Sith temple.
That was a really weird episode. Now that you talk about it,
Yeah.
It was a fever
Palpatine does
dream.
what Palpatine does best and comes out of nowhere with ridiculous amounts of power that he never shows in any other moment ever, besides sitting in a chair going, excellent.
And he
Wait,
never
not happy about
dies.
him being a
He
bad
somehow
guy.
makes it into every series.
Everywhere. I'm done with this guy. Yeah.
Is Palpatine
I
secretly
love
R2?
Ian McDermott, and if I ever meet the man, I'm going to praise the ground he walks upon and be like, thank you for the role that you have played. I am not worthy, yada, yada, yada. Can you say no next time? Can we just be like, I think he's been around a lot. It's okay to move on. Bad Batch, it's like, at least Bad Batch isn't set after anything. So he's allowed to be alive right now. He's literally his time period. But yeah, it's like, bro, I get that he has a hand in everything because it's his empire. But no, he didn't. There were so many things that he was not going to be concerned with. Unless, of course, the Batch is going to do something so freaking crazy that the Emperor himself's going to be like, I got to pay attention to the Order 99. Because when you go through that episode list, plan or like execute Order 99, I think it's just Order 99 is like the last episode. So it sounds like they're probably all going to die. Because again, that's another thing is we have to start tying up things because
it's gonna get
they
the Rogue
can't
One
be
treatment.
around. Yeah, you can't be around in later Star Wars, or why would they not be there?
Mhm.
Unless they're really going to plan. Oh, and then the Bad Batch and Omega.
Well, that's what I
fuck off
always
to
thought
Wild
when
Space.
I watched when the show came out.
Mhm.
My first thought was this whole show is basically just setting up to kill off this team to eventually leave Omega as like a new Ahsoka almost.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And I mean, honestly, one of the things that I've kind of seen going on, it just with direction wise, I mean, it seems like they're constantly building farther away from the original trilogy and just leaving the original trilogy where the original trilogy characters are and saying,
Yeah.
okay, here's our sequel to the original, to the prequel trilogy, whatever the hell they're going to call it. And they're just creating these individual characters that are iconic. I mean, we've got Ahsoka, which basically fills the role of Luke.
Yeah.
We have, I mean, then we would have Omega, which could fill the role of somebody like, hell, I don't know.
Omega, I would love to see another live action Omega in Book of Boba Fett season 2. Like Omega, I'm totally down with her becoming an asset of Star Wars and her brother becoming like this badass merc team.
Yeah, the only thing is, which kind of goes against what you just said, is because Disney does both, where they add stuff to things, but they also feed off nostalgia a
Mhm.
lot because they know it makes money and brings in subscribers to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So they won't leave stuff alone, as the Obi-Wan series is an example. Um, the Boba Fett series is kind of an example. I mean, at least they went into a little uncharted territory with that. But yeah, they kind of won't leave stuff alone to a
And
point.
to a sense,
Just
I
leaving it alone. I think they're just telling the story, and being able to tell it in a visual medium can help a lot of people.
well, I think it's
Well, you
because to
can.
me, I think we needed Obi-Wan because to me it was the canon thing of what happened.
Yeah.
Well, you can do that. It's just it feels like they're using settings to feed off again nostalgia,
Oh yeah, I mean, if they go to
and
the Old
because
Republic, you're
it's
gonna
comfortable territory for them. It's
yeah.
stuff that's already established and they can reuse and
At the
redo.
end of
And
the day, it is a business, so if it doesn't make money, they're not gonna make any
Yeah.
of it.
Right.
But I it's kind of one of those things you just gotta let the you gotta make a deal with the devil just for the fact that yeah, I know I gotta watch Disney stuff and tell them like, hey, thank you for making stuff, even though some of it I'm not the biggest fan of, but please don't stop, please don't, because every now and then you guys fucking hit it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm not hating it all. I'm just
Right.
ready to move on away from Tatooine and
Yes.
Sidious and
That's a gorgeous thing about places like High Republic and the comics is they are in much prettier places. I'm super excited because again on my birthday we're getting an audio drama called The Battle of Jeddah, which is like a High Republic supposed to be like huge crazy fight that happens on the planet Jeddah. So I'm like, oh, there we go. And they're like really go, and everything in the books and comics is circling around Jeddah. So we're starting to learn a lot more about the other Force cults, which is exactly what I wanted. And I'm so here for it. So I think they're starting to test waters with comics and books, and it's receiving really well.
I think Acolyte's going to be the real test.
Yes, I could see Acolyte being
Yeah.
the huge test of like, okay, we're gonna really push this very female, like alien heavy. Like we're gonna like really throw all the things out of the books. The good guys are not the good guys anymore. You know, you're gonna have a weird sense of what's really good and bad. Like they're muddling things. Like because Andor started it. Andor was like, no, we have a very clear message, a very clear mission. We're getting to Rogue One Andor. We're taking Cassian on a journey. But it got there dirty and it got there perfectly well for a spy. So if they continue this really good writing style and making sure to keep up with the feeling and the vibe of the show, Acolyte's going to be dark.
it just should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll be really good to see because then they're not scared. And if it receives well and it tests really well and it does good, they'll keep going. And that's how I think that'll influence a lot of what's going to happen with Rey's coming up trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally like what's going to happen. Like everyone's pretty much calling it that the Skywalker saga was the family. And who knows what they're going to call this next one, but the Skywalkers will no longer be a family. That's what, and the Jedi are dead. That's what Rey's going to call the New Order, are Skywalkers.
That'd be fun.
That would be.
Yeah. In a sense, because there's no Jedi. It's like she's trying to like, yeah, because that's the whole thing. She has these ancient Jedi texts from like the Jedi on Tython. She now knows that the Jedi Order fell because of hubris, and the Sith are still bad. So pretty much what she really learned from Luke when you read the books and get into the comics and everything else is, oh, I need to change this. She's like Darth Bane for the Jedi. She's going to create some new rule.
Call the saga because they name it after the last name of the family, so it's going to be the Palpatine saga. So
Oh fuck no!
Don't throw paper
We're gonna.
at me.
She changed her
Put it on the
name.
internet.
No, don't worry. He's just generating really, 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 really a lot of comments. Which is, hey, there we go, interaction. Hey,
well, it makes sense.
Fight,
it was
fight,
the
fight.
Skywalkers. Now it's the Palpatines.
and that way he can come back again. I'm
He's
hunting.
gonna have the.
He's like
they're gonna give him
haunting
the.
her left leg, and he's like, I'm.
It's gonna be the Luke treatment. He's gonna show up on a planet drinking milk.
God. So does that mean whenever a Palpatine has a heart attack, it's called palpitations?
Palpitations.
I don't know. Ask
Y-
Ray.
y'all can hurt me for that one. I'll accept
Yeah.
that. It's bad.
I'll take a good Star Wars fan any day. It doesn't matter to me. I think though, in the new one, yeah, we're hopefully gonna move on to the point where I want a new Sith Order. We need new Darksiders, new light side. That's fine. We're gonna get the Skywalkers versus the Acolytes of the Beyond, or some new version of the Knights of Ren, where it's not so much a hardcore structural teaching; it's more chaotic and open. Because that's the
Yeah,
other part of
I'd
the
like
dark
to
side.
see some kind of dark side beings or something.
We don't.
I don't want to see the Sith Order. I want to see, just some kind of this inevitable force. And maybe, like I
Yes.
said, maybe it'd be cool in the World Between Worlds we see like a teaser of the bad entity to come.
What's the worst possible thing that they could pull out of the past? They could grab a Nameless. The Nameless are from the High Republic.
Oh no.
The Nameless are creatures that were born on a planet devoid of the Force that consume the light side and the Force itself. They create fear and trauma in anything around them to the point where it cripples them, and then it feeds off them and turns them into an ashen husk.
Sometimes.
If it does it fully, if it fully absorbs them.
You just need a new iconic bad guy that isn't white armor.
Yeah, and I'm totally down with it
an
not being
evil
Sith
dude in
anymore.
robes.
Yeah, let's get rid of
heck,
these
bring the
structured
Dringer.
Sith. The structured Sith that have to have this very prominent way of doing things. Bring out a berserker, just like some dark side evil that is here to just consume. Yeah, like the Dranger. The only bad thing about the Dranger is it reminds me too much of Daleks. It's just a plant Dalek.
I mean,
Or,
a
like
little bit, but they were
What-
so evil.
It goes from exterminate to assimilate, and they're just gonna
No,
grab
they
you all
just
and turn
eat,
you.
Consume.
Oh yeah, consume.
Something akin to the Borg would be kind of cool.
Which then we're getting Borsley. That's just the use on Vaughn.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's what I want to begin with. But
yeah, true. I really do think though that they're gonna have to pull out some crazy enemy, and the Sith mask thing, like I've always said, is gonna be where a lot of it's gonna come from. Some reborn ancient darkness. Maybe it'll be something like a Junta Paul, Freedom Nad, like some really ancient Sith lord that's just like, no, we will return to a Sith empire, and I'm just like, we're not here to make friends. We're not here because that's the big problem too. Is it could still be a Sith, but they have to go old Sith because the Sith we know in the movies were the calculating, shadowy assassin Sith. The Sith from the Old Republic are brutish, planet annihilating, armed militias, thousands wide. They're like, we do not hide because we do not need to hide. Hiding is for weaklings. Challenge.
No, they're
me.
very arrogant. They were very in your face.
They could actually pull one from the World Between Worlds too.
Oh,
They could.
I mean, and also the masks.
Darth Malgus.
Masks can sell. You can sell those quickly.
Oh, dude, yeah, masks is a big thing. The next Sith is probably gonna have a mask also, just because they're like, ooh, we have a new Black Series thing to sell. Instead of a whole helmet for $100 something, we're just gonna sell a mask for $100 something.
I mean, heck,
Less
you can
plastic, same
hang
profit.
them all up.
I'll buy it. I mean, I know myself. Who am I
So
kidding?
if they were really smart, they'd do like a team of them and be like a group, kind of.
Oh yeah.
Kind of what they should have done with the Knights of Ren, and then you'd have a bunch of masks to pick from.
The comics make the Knights of Ren so cool. And then, again, it's the weirdest part about these movies that's the part of them that made me just go, what are you all doing? You show us this awesome group and then go, and we're not going to talk about that.
You barely get to see them ever. You only get to really see them in the comics. You only see silhouettes and little parts of some of
And
them.
they're like, oh, Kylo Ren's going to fight his own guys. This is going to be some epic fight. And then he just kind of like, and it's all dark because it's on Exegol. You can't really see what's going on, and he kills them. And
If you want to see him actually fight him, he does in the comics.
Lego, right?
yeah, Lego, of course. You go through the Lego stuff. It's all over the place because it's Lego, and they can go crazy. Lego has dropped some of the best canon stuff and like canifying things than any other source of Star Wars media. Lego Star Wars Vacation Special canonized that Finn is Force sensitive. Because Obi-Wan's ghost is talking to him in a cantina, and he's like, well, what
You know why
here?
they
He's
can
like, I'm here to
do
talk
that,
to
right?
he's like, I'm here to talk to a Jedi. And Finn goes, there's no one else here but me. And he's like, yeah, I know.
Lego has the most, and they do that with most of their franchises. They have the most open-ended license. They can get away with a ton
Yeah.
because they're Lego at that point. They make a ton of money.
They have like a guideline. You
Mhm.
can say these things, and here's kind of your restraints. Don't go outside of this.
You cannot
but
say
here's
he's a
some
Jedi,
lore.
but you can totally say he's got Force powers and could
Yeah,
be a Jedi.
Well, you don't realize their contracts that they have are very old with
Yeah.
LucasArts.
Oh yeah,
and they're so
they're grandfathered in.
open-ended compared to anything that because of just the sheer amount of money they
Mhm.
pull in. And they have that with everything. That's what they were able to do with movies. Like they did the Lego movie. They had like Darth Vader and they have Superman. They
Yeah.
have Lord of the Rings. It's because they have the licenses and the franchise can't say
I
nothing
mean,
about it.
that's why like that. I can't ever remember that Russian dude or the Slovakian and or European gentleman's name that did the Clone Wars animated style, the very first one that came out on
Oh.
Cartoon Network.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But regardless, that dude did that because they paid him. Like, hey, we need a bump. So you're gonna do this. It's gonna be really cool, and we're gonna make a lot of toys. And that's the one thing. Lucas made all of his money off toy sales because he was smart enough
But
to keep
yeah, that
that,
was
and the studio was stupid back then. Lucas is the reason a lot of things happen. Not all of them great. Like poor people nowadays, like Avatar and like all these other industries that are trying to start these movies, and the industry immediately goes,
Don't bring Avatar
and
into this.
we
Avatar's its own thing.
are going to take some of the toy money. And you have to be okay with that because no one wants to get screwed over like that happened to Lucas, where he's like, no, I keep all the random extra things. That's my money. And he makes more than any of the movies.
well, that's what made them money because that's one thing that basically saved Star Wars. He didn't realize how much toys sell until the promo toys for Empire sold, which is mainly Boba Fett, sold like crazy.
Yeah.
And then basically a lot of toy sales really shaped how Star Wars ended. I mean, hell, you even had the Ewoks. The whole purpose of them was to sell toys.
Yep.
There was originally supposed to be the Wookiee planet of Endor. There's supposed to be the Wookiees, but no, they did the Ewoks. They figured they would sell better,
Yep.
and that continued on with future stuff where you could tell what characters are meant to sell. The droid from Obi-Wan that was meant to sell.
Yeah.
BB-8 that was meant to sell. There's
Which
the
that brings up a good point of like Andor wasn't made for toys. It wasn't made to sell
Grogu.
toys.
Andor
Grogu was
yeah.
meant to sell toys. I mean,
Yeah, but Andor ain't got nothing. Andor was entirely for the story.
they could have sold the cereal though. They should. I don't know why they haven't.
They probably
I would
will.
have bought
It's
it
probably gonna
immediately.
be at the parks.
I would have went to Walmart and bought a box, even if
Yeah.
it tasted terrible. I would throw out the cereal and save the box.
I think there is one Lego set from Andor, and it's like from the last fight or
Mhm.
something. But like, what else are you gonna make toys of? Because you can't make the torture floor.
Yes, you could.
I did see people 3D
You
print. They took
can?
apart the R2 droids and
Oh,
they
yeah.
3D printed K2, I think is his name. And
K2SO.
I want a
They made-
B2 emo somewhere.
Oh, B2 emo, dude.
Yes.
B2 emo is it? I like how sturdy that little dude is. That'd be a like great
Well,
little
that's
mini
some
fridge.
B2.
Mini
They
fridge.
made them-
It's like a remote
They
mini
made
fridge.
B2 remote controls like these, but they took
Yeah.
apart the electronics and they just did housing for
And
3D
I mean,
printing.
they sold out almost instantly, but we have a pair of the official binders that they sold, the handcuffs. And imagine that. A lot of adult
Yeah.
couples bought them.
Naturally.
Yeah, I was
Not a
excited
lot of
when they
kids.
announced those. When I used to do Mandalorian mercs, we used to just get PVC pipe
Yeah.
and try to make them ourselves because that's all we had.
Yep. Which that's probably kind of that's what they did. They just put also 2 lights on it. But toy sales is a big part of it. I mean, again, like I'm super stoked because I just picked up the original '80s Empire Strikes Back Dengar with gun, and the original '80s
We just got
Empire Strikes Back Boba Fett. I got both.
we
of those
just got
toys.
some drop recently of some good figures, and we
Yep.
also got the original Clone Wars, the series before that kind of sparked the current series. The
Yeah, I
series
was able to
everybody's
snag a
familiar
Mace Windu of that one. The biggest one I am super pumped for the late though is I got the kind of also a thing that was inspired for a little bit of craziness. The early EU, you have Dark Empire. Dark Empire, Luke becomes a bad guy, trains under Palpatine to kill him. Palpatine clones himself, so it's dark side / good Luke versus young evil Palpatine for the entire galaxy with Mary Jade, his wife, and they have kids and yada 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 yada. EU expanded Empire, Dark Empire stuff is nuts, but it's awesome and it's a really cool story. I have Sith Luke in a pop out figure, which I know people who love collecting are gonna kill me, but I'm an opener. So here soon when I move, I plan on moving because when you move, you open the package, get the figure out, and then you actually have to rip apart the package and it opens up into a scene from the comic. from the
Yeah,
original. Yeah, the original Dark Horse
I have a
comics.
couple that are like that. Yeah, they had the scenes,
Yeah.
and then they have the ones that actually come with comics as well.
Yeah. Oh, if I love those ones. Those are such cool figures. They have the comic
I
in
have
the
a
back of it.
couple of the comic ones. I have the Mandalorian one they did is my favorite one, which I won't open.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing a little short too about those two figures I picked up today at the antique store. They also had like they had a Wookiee, they had a Imperial Senate guard, they had a
One thing they
Greedo, they had the big one I really want. It was $45, and I was like, oh. They had the Scout Trooper on speeder, the original '80s Return of the
yeah.
Jedi one.
One thing I was surprised they came out with, they did for the parks, and you could buy it off their web. I think they still have it up. Is the Life Day orb,
Oh
which
yeah,
you're not familiar with Life Day? It's basically Star Wars equivalent of Christmas.
yep.
It was basically invented on the Christmas Day special, the holiday special.
But Life Day
It's
happens
the
a little bit beforehand. It happens, I
yeah.
think, in November almost.
It's based on the Wookiee holiday on their life tree. It's a whole deal. It's kind of goofy because, like I said, it originally started from the holiday special.
Yeah.
But yeah, the glowing orb you can buy. But it's the closest thing the Star Wars has to Christmas, canon wise.
Yeah.
I
It's
think it's supposed to be like a
saying.
combination of Thanksgiving and Christmas and all that.
Oh, November 17th, I guess, is when it happens, because that's when the special was released. Yeah.
Yeah.
November 17th. That makes sense.
Yeah, the whole special's about Chewbacca celebrating with his family with Life Day. It's so weird.
It's the weirdest part too is how you see Wookiees in robes. So like you guys do have clothes.
Yeah, it's so yeah. Chewbacca's
all
he's
the
a
time.
nudist, so he just didn't realize it.
Yeah. So kind of on the Christmas spirity then. If any of you guys had any stories, I was just gonna talk about like we figured we could go over if there's anything like you remember best gifts you got that were kind of like Star Wars based, or favorite memories of holiday Star Wars. Because honestly, in my family, we always watched Empire Strikes Back around Christmas time because of Hoth, which would then just lead to us watching Star Wars because it's already playing. So Star Wars was a really big part of Christmas for me. Of course, I remember like in the early 2000s and the late 90s getting those the little lightsabers you hold down the thing and whoosh, you flick it and it extends and then the light would turn on, which was literally just a flashlight at the bottom of a
I never could get
green or
one.
blue tube.
And then go to
My dad
Christmas.
would my dad would never let me have one. I always wanted one.
Boy, howdy, did they break in milliseconds.
Yep.
I could never. They would never. But when I became an adult and I started making custom sabers, the first thing I did was buy one.
Yeah.
I spent about $600 on the best saber I could get custom built when Ultra Sabers was pretty new,
Yeah.
and I for sure did it.
Yep, that's
I
me.
was
I got these two
happy.
over here. I got my level up sabers, one there. And hey, I got to highly. It's so awesome. Yeah, it's the season. So if you're looking for lightsabers, now's the time to start thinking about sales. If you got any out there. I definitely also remember a lot of just like getting like the games, like Force Unleashed, or like the Christmas I got my Xbox 360. It came with the Clone Wars game where you would like drive around in the tanks. It was a lot of like vehicle based combat, and then you could get out every now and then and like just hack and slash everything up. But I remember getting that game, and I played that game so much. I knew Geonosis better than like any other planet just because I spent so much time just slaying B1 battle droids in a clone tank. Oh man, and we play Battlefront 2s. So that was my biggest thing. I always got my very big favorite game usually around Christmas. And since my birthday is 12 days after Christmas, it's like, well, do you want a good Christmas or do you want a really big birthday? Like, which one?
I don't personally have too much Star Wars related Christmas stories. I don't remember really getting much. I think most of the Star Wars stuff I had gotten was like on my birthday.
Okay.
My birthday typically comes out when a lot of things come out, which is in November. A lot of things release around my birthday, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, I can't really think of very many Christmas gifts that I've ever received or anything like that were Star Wars related, but there is one thing that sticks out very prominently. My family has a tradition every single year. Me, my mom, and my brother, and anybody else that's in the family, we go out to Hallmark and we get a Christmas ornament. And we
Okay.
choose one Christmas ornament every single year. So I mean, at this point, I got a ton of Hallmark Christmas ornaments.
Yeah.
And for about the past probably 10 years, every single ornament has been Star Wars, and even way before that, I've got Christmas ornaments from like 2002, 2003 that are Star Wars that are old school, limited edition, limited in number, and numbered
Yeah,
Star Wars Hallmark Christmas ornaments that are really, really hard to find these days.
that's awesome.
And some of them are the electronic ones. Some
Mm.
of more often than not, they're not because they're cheaper and they last long. And that's really where it comes in. And I really wish I was at my mom's house just to show you a picture of all the different Hallmark ornaments, because this tree looks
Yeah,
like a normal tree.
they have a
And it
lot
looks
of
like it's a like
awesome ornaments
it's
for
heavy.
Star Wars,
Oh yeah, they do.
especially the new
Yeah.
electronic ones. They've been
I was
doing
gonna
for
bring
the
that
past
up.
couple
Yeah,
years.
the new electronic one that talks to itself and does like almost the entire New Hope.
It makes me wish I still worked there so I could have got it.
Yeah, get it at a nice
The-
cheap rate.
The
We actually just
Death
got
Star
two.
Yeah.
tree topper is so awesome.
We have one of them, but the new one's way cooler. The new one's so much
Yeah.
cooler.
The new one's
Fucking awesome. But we
I
have
did
have
have-
one that works, and then we had just got a Grogu for the little boy. I got a Vader. Need to find her an Ahsoka probably.
I did have
one
one
also, so I'm like,
Star Wars Christmas that was very interesting, but it was when I was
Yeah.
an adult. I believe it was. I'm trying to think what year. I think it's 2014.
Mm.
So it was pretty recent for me. But it was when I was in the military, and I got quick orders to transfer to El Paso. So it's very hard to move and set things up around Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
Not many places are open. So I didn't want to commit to anything because it's hard to move to somewhere within a short period of time to get a house and everything set up. So I put a word out. The only group that I knew at the time that was nationwide, which is the Mandalorian Mercs, and I posted on to the El Paso, Nevada, not Nevada, New Mexico clan. There were one
Mhm.
clan, and if anyone has a place I could stay during the holidays for me and my wife, until we find a house, and one of them was happy enough to do that. It was so interesting because they were very they were heathen,
Mhm.
very religious heathen, and I grew up in a Christian, so it was really funny when they invited me to church with them, and they went out and they had a pit where they did sacrifices and stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was very, I was like, cool, we're just gonna go to church and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, me and my wife, and like, what's going on?
Happy
so
Yule.
it is a shock if you're not part of it.
Yeah, if you're not a part of the community, it's a shocker, but yeah.
But they're very
we have a
large group. I'm
crazy
talking-
12 days.
I'm talking about we had roughly like 25, 30 people in
Yeah.
this house, and we had this Star Wars holiday party. And the coolest thing was the ornaments, because that was the thing, is since there's so many people, you can't do the gift exchange, so they did ornament exchange, which I've
Right.
loved and wanted to recreate ever since. Which you basically, everybody brings an ornament, and then you place it on the tree beforehand, so you know who's. And they had a spinning tree, and it would rotate around, and they had
Nice.
a Darth Vader helmet sitting at the top too.
Nice.
And you would just like, it was your turn to pick up, you'd go. And there was a ton of Star Wars ornaments. The best one is one guy that was a blacksmith, and he made a miniature metal, like solid metal Boba Fett helmet. And everyone fought over that one. Everybody, yeah, it sucked. It was traded like 3 times by the time I could get one.
Yep.
Yeah,
And that's
it
the
was,
limit.
It was an awesome holiday because full of everybody that did Mandalorian Mercs or 501st, and we're all just like buying each other, got cool ornaments and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, we'll definitely have to try and do that one day. We'll have who knows? Maybe once the community gets big enough, we can have
Ornament exchange.
a huge ornament exchange meetup.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Because that's the beautiful thing about this time of year too, is it represents like a lot more of what the Jedi were trying to do. Because that's like the best thing about the holiday season for me, is just how everyone wants to be a little bit nicer. Just, they don't honk as much when you don't immediately take off at a red light or a green light or a red one, depending on the people. It's just
some people do.
Yeah. And it's just
some people get into the idea of gifts and then get super stressed out.
yeah,
Yeah.
true. And that sucks that that's what the holidays mean to them. Because what the holidays mean to me is just like sitting at home watching claymation movies and other movies with family and just having a good time. And that's what I look forward to instilling with our son in the next generation. But that little spoiled bugger has so much Star Wars to watch over the holiday season. You know, so many holiday specials. And then the Lego stuff again, super good jokes for adults and keeps kids rather entertained. And it's Star Wars,
And
so
he's
we all
getting
win.
exposed to it so young.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, he knows the intro music by heart.
Yeah.
He hears it, he comes running.
Yep, he loves the intro music to Star Wars. He's like, "Oh, I know what that is. I heard it in the womb."
Naturally.
Well,
Yeah.
they have a lot of younger children's stuff, and
Yeah.
they have that new show coming out for younger. Looks like it's roughly around like 3 to 4 year old.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of the young books and
The
comics.
little shorts that they have on YouTube with the babies or whatever, with the robot taking
Mhm.
care of them. He loves it. He laughs every time we watch it. The little porg ones, he
Yeah.
loses it.
Just give him a little bit before he watches episode 3. That's all. Just cut it off early. Just don't tell him about the younglings. Anakin-
People die. It's just sometimes really early. You didn't. Be happy.
Anakin just waved goodbye to all the younglings.
Oh man, I
Master
just
Anakin, what are we
realized-
gonna do? And then he lit up his lightsaber to show them the way out.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Follow
have
the
to
lights.
Follow the
witness-
light to the end of the tunnel.
Oh no, we gotta witness Order 66 with him when he's older.
God,
No.
yeah, but I swear to God, if we get outside Ahsoka series, I get it. We're probably gonna see it. Mandalorian, yeah, sure. If Grogu goes back to the Jedi Temple, bro. If I see Order 66 more than 3 more times, I think I'm gonna lose it though. I'm done. We know a lot of Jedi died, and all the clones did bad things because they were programmed to, and it's the ultimate betrayal of the Republic. I'm so done with Order 66, and I know we're gonna see it a few more times. And I love Filoni. I love the man to death. But you have kicked the horse is so dead now, and it's kicked so much he's
That's
hitting
what
bones.
I've been saying.
He's
We
hitting
should-
bones.
At least if you're going to do that territory, do something like you did with Andor.
Yeah,
It was such a fresh take.
yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Because if we see, if this is, I think this would be kind of cool if we saw this. If we saw an Order 66 scenario where the Jedi are in negotiations with just a peaceful civil group or just a society of some kind, and they're sitting there and they're having the conversation, and they're just engaging in some type of a negotiation,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you see clone troopers just come up and just straight up execution style to the back. I would love to see that society just rise up and knock the living hell out of the clones. That would be something we haven't seen.
Well, the problem is what you've seen with the situations that happen like that is basically what happened is the clones basically turned on the Jedi and then immediately turned on the people, so they couldn't do anything.
yeah,
Because there's when there was a situation where there was a Jedi and a clone force, on Order 66, they immediately took authority. They basically
Yeah,
turned to what
that's-
we have stormtroopers.
That's what I
You see
figured would
that in
happen.
episode 3. You see that in Clone Wars. You see that. So they can't react. And the planets that didn't have this happen in front of them, they were fed propaganda saying that the Jedi's tried to overthrow the Senate. So normal people, they thought the Jedi's. I mean, most of them didn't.
Look, they
see
just
a
have to
Jedi.
change it up. They just got to change it up because I just don't need to see more younglings and more Jedi confused and then fighting, and then we have this big thing where it's like,
And then I
So,
cry. And
you all have the Force, and not a single one of you were like, Spidey sensed something weird's about to happen. And then when it did happen, you all didn't try to cluster together whatsoever. You let
Well,
them, because I mean, and it's like they're not going to, but like still in the main hall, there's like 50. You can see like 15 Jedi fighting. Like, no, bro, you guys got to back up towards each other.
Well, the thing is too is
Yeah.
they got really arrogant. They got
Yeah,
basically felt like they were untouchable. And the also thing is people don't understand is what you see in the main characters when they're fighting is not a normal Jedi. A normal
Right.
Jedi would actually lose to a lot of clones, even if it was a fight. And so people don't understand. They'll play a video game with the main character. They'll see they'll see Anakin fight, and they think every Jedi is like that. They're not.
Yeah, like
A lot of
Ahsoka says.
Jedi died in the
Ahsoka
Battle of
always, yeah.
Geonosis. A lot of
Ahsoka said that we were trained to be monks and peacekeepers, but then we became soldiers.
See, Ahsoka is different though. She got the
Well, yeah.
training.
She
like,
she had Anakin as a master, so no, she got trained to kill people, like to kill people.
Well, and that's the thing is the Anakin training wasn't typical, and even a lot of the Jedi Masters, their previous training, they weren't. A lot of Jedi died, and just the war
Yeah.
itself. And that's the people get just because you have the Force and lightsaber doesn't make you invincible.
Right.
Especially if you were at you were a typical Jedi at the some of the Jedi temples. You're not used to war. You're not used to combat. You're probably just like the typical ones that do the librarian stuff that just teach children.
Yeah. Yoda was the only one that really had that like premonition because he saw what was going on, felt it across the galaxy, and then said, "No, thank you."
Well, yeah, he because he wasn't the first to die, so he kind of felt the disturbance, and then he realized something was about to happen.
It took out Commander Gree.
I know it's funny if what if it wasn't the clones and he just decapitated and they're like, what was that for? The part we also didn't see is the part where Yoda actually consumes Gree's head.
Yeah.
we need to know what his species is.
Man, and the Yoda comic, it's great, but it's just talking about Yoda doing cool stuff. It's not talking about Yoda. It's talking about, hey, in the High Republic, when Yoda fucked off for like 80,000 years, this is what he was doing. It's cool, but
they need
what
to
are they
have
called?
more.
What are they called? Something, just a little nibble, a little morsel. Where do they come from? What are they called? One factoid.
Where's Grogu from?
They probably wiped out the species because they had to keep moving they were like locusts.
They
would just wipe out
They're a parasite.
Oh, but dude, no! Like, how gnarly would that be? What if the origins of Yoda and Yaddle and Grogu is literally like, no, we are the three. We were the last two left, and we are trying to repopulate our people, but only allowing ourselves to do it through the Force, because before this, we were a ravaging, destructive, dark side community. Like, what if their people were like the Drangir, or they were like that, and they consumed, and they were extremely Force powerful, so they were wiped out. But since they lived for such a long time, they've been kind of in the Jedi Order ever since, and the only ones allowed to live are those who are like
because
in the Order.
Oh, why Yoda's so
we've seen
passive.
Yoda now
Yeah.
is like
Trying to
High Republic
the
era,
hunger.
and he's only what 700.
Yeah, he's only 700 in High Republic. Well, ish. Like
They basically consume everything. They live for extremely long time. They're super attuned to the Force. So they're pretty broken species if they were normal people.
So I mean, that could be the thing. Imagine if that species exists in thousands of them. There's going to be way more drawn to the dark side than the light side because it's easy. So then they were like, nope, wiped them out.
The joke is, that Yoda went to dig, to hide amongst all the life force because he could hide within them. But we all know he went there and he was never killed by those giant creatures that were on the planet because he ate them first.
That's why he went there. He could eat everything.
Apex predator.
And I mean, the dude's
Grogu
just
proved it when he started, devouring the eggs.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, genocide. Let's go.
He was.
Which makes it
mature
even
enough
worse
to know
because
what
he's 50 and he clearly understands the consequences of his actions.
Yeah, you see in other episodes that he does understand things. He knows what he's doing, but he's just so hungry.
That was just really tasty, though, guy. Okay, they weren't
been there.
They weren't like fertilized yet, right? Kinda.
And she's like, are you? She's like, upset that this is happening, or like in the classroom with all those kids, and then he's like, just thinking, you're just lucky that I can't swallow you yet.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna force choke you if you don't give me that.
You'd be next if I
Why
could
do you think
fit you in my
macaroon
I mean,
showed
but
up on
then
his-
there we go. If the initial reaction for his species is, "Hey, I don't like that. I'd choke you," or "Hey, give me that, or I'll take it," they're literally Darksiders.
I mean, we saw what Dark Yoda would be like in the Clone Wars. We
Yeah.
saw that. That sucker was feral.
Yeah.
But we have, that's probably what happened in the early days. With the get like Plagueis probably wiped out the Yoda species, and then Sidious carried on the legacy, and then
Yeah.
he created the clone army and the stormtroopers of the Empire to safekeep the galaxy from Yoda reproducing them. So he's actually the secret hero. We just don't
Right.
understand it.
Well, and that was the whole thing. Really, is that's a Dark Empire kind of thing because
Yeah, they did that with
Palpatine
kind of
created the Death
the
Star to
Yuzong-
fight off the Yuzong Vong because he
Yeah.
felt a disturbance coming into the galaxy. So, and
he
if
wanted to make a force ready for them to show
yeah.
up.
So obviously, we do understand that there are plenty of stories where other things do come into or out of the galaxy far, far away because there are other galaxies. So of course that exists. I just don't want the world between worlds to get used to the point where it's like anything can be thrown out. I don't need to see Anakin versus Darth Vader real in live action. I don't need to see Luke Skywalker training with Qui-Gon Jinn. And I don't think it's gonna do it. I just
Yeah,
I
you
get
don't
worried.
basically
I just
how
get
they did
worried.
the
How can you can't be out of ideas yet? There's so much. There's an infinite amount of time,
they
and
did
you're
that
telling
with
me you're out of ideas.
The Marvel where they changed with the What If series. Basically, don't want that. Or
But
also
if you
don't
call
want
it
you
a what if series, that's fine. But it has
Yeah.
to be completely separate. I don't want like with
don't want it to
Marvel
be
where
a-
there's like, hey, in Marvel, there's a universe where Tony died, where Spider-Man died, where Thanos didn't die, where this happened. There's all these universes, and sometimes they bleed together.
No, I don't want to see it as an excuse for the writers. They can't come up with something new, so
It's
they're just
right.
going to be retelling the same thing, but the time's going to change a little bit different.
I just worry that it would ever turn, because if it ever turned into, hey guys, you know what? They brought Anakin Skywalker back. He's the light side Anakin Skywalker who never turned. No, I don't want that. He needs to have died. He needs to have fallen. Like I don't want them to
the mantle.
I don't want them to make, hey, we found Palpatine as a Jedi and brought him into this galaxy. No, leave him alone.
I don't think they're going to be doing that.
Well, yeah,
Just
but
because
what's the point of being on the internet if I can't bitch about things that haven't happened yet?
You're not wrong.
It's Star Wars. We gotta complain about. It's part of the fandom.
Right, and what a great way to finish off a fun holiday podcast. Other than, don't do that thing that you're probably not gonna do. God darn it! So thank you all so much for joining. Hey, you can do the outro next week, okay? Thank you all so much for joining us for this holiday special. And it means so much that you meant to join and are here with us for said holiday special. Have an amazing rest.
See you in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we see you in 2 weeks, as we will not be recording due to Christmas, New Year's, but we will be back on the 6th, my birthday. So happy birthday to all of us, from me to me. And as always, may the Force serve you well.
May the Force be with you.
Deuces.
Okay, now you can go to death.
I wait for the light to shut off before I can take this hat off. It's burning.
Son.
Yeah.
My hair's gonna be insane.